Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Eat, Burn, Sleep podcast. Today, I have an incredible woman who has joined us, and I feel so honored that she is with us. We're going to talk about a topic that's quite hot at the moment, that's very fashionable, although it is a science and a way of treating people that has been around for centuries. We're going to be talking about medicinal mushrooms. And my guest today is Catalina Fernandez de Ana, who's the founder and CEO of Hifas da Terra. She's a medicinal mushrooms pioneer in the West. She's a biologist, has a PhD in medical clinical oncology. She's a mycologist and, of course, an entrepreneur, as well as being a mother. Hi, Catalina. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being with us today. I just want to give a little bit of color to our listeners as to how I discovered your company and how I started using your products. And I feel so honored that you're on my podcast today. I discovered medicinal mushrooms actually when I was in nutrition school, and your company is the main reference, the highest quality medicinal mushrooms that we are told to prescribe, to give, to recommend to our clients. And then I became a client myself, and I can talk about this a bit later. It was quite extraordinary what happened when I used your products. And a founder like you, particularly someone as driven who's creating such high quality products, because there are so many things out there on the market. It's very easy to buy mushrooms and to package them. I've been to many trade shows for supplements, and it's very easy to buy mushrooms that come from China. Some people don't even check, if the product is actually that, and there've been quite a few scandals in the supplements world. But your mushrooms are produced by you. There is full traceability. You know what you're feeding them. Mushrooms are quite complex creatures, if I may say so. But I want to start with, when did your passion for mushrooms start?
Well, I would say from the beginning of my days, because my father, he's a researcher, he's a scientist, and he's a mycologist. So I was born into a family of science, of observation of nature, and seeing mushrooms as those creatures, as you mentioned, that are special and that are living with us parallel, and that can really provide us with so many gifts, as well as there's a relation with nature, with trees. And I always love to recall the image that comes out in Avatar, where you can see, the net that is under the trees, and that is completely like that. All the nature, all the woods, all the plants are connected with the mycorrhiza, with the mushrooms, mycelium. That's a real internet of the world, the natural net. So I was really introduced since I was very, very little. Mushrooms were in my life in a daily base in everything we did. And then I studied biology, and my professor of applied microbiology, he wanted us, the health professionals, to be the ones to build health related businesses. Meaning, he always said, if you're a health professional and you develop products, the first thing you're going to look at is the results and to change people's lives. Instead, if you just have a business plan, well, you will try to bring up numbers. And that is how I started IFAS. So the promise that I made, the engagement that we were doing at that moment, was as health professionals to really try to change the world, people's lives, by bringing, natural products, or in that moment, that could have the best properties and that would be based on research, innovation, and development, meaning that we would not do the same thing as there was already in the market, but just be fighting for a prize or a segment, but really bringing health, bringing science, biotech, and evidence to the world. And that is exactly how Hifas da Terra was born and how it always will keep on going by having this promise of saying, yes, we will be always based on research, scientific evidence, given provenance to the products, and knowing that they work. They do what they promise that they're going to do.
Amazing. I've never heard this before. That coming from the world of medicine and creating a company, you're getting feedback. It's so interesting. And it makes me think of Eat, Burn, Sleep. The reason why I made a business out of it rather than just an Instagram account is I was thinking if I'm not running a business that is profitable, means I'm not helping people. So my metric was the feedback I was getting from returning customers, from testimonials, and you're getting that also. And what you have that I don't have, which is amazing, are all the studies. You have all these studies to prove and to show that these products work on the gut, on the brain, on everything, on the immune system. So, when did you start the company exactly?
Well, I started the company in the year 98, 99. So that is 24 years now. And for the first 7 years, it was really rough because we were just learning how to cultivate the mushrooms, learning all the environment they need, the different types, species, and it was, farming really. And from there, we stepped up by studying all the molecules, the components, driving more towards the research, more of a library and lab research, and starting to develop all the capacities of the extracts, of the micronized powders, of starting to make the formulas. And that took me to the year more or less 2007, where we introduced the first products in the market.
Amazing. And can you tell us a little bit more about how mushrooms work, what they do to the body, how you're meant to cultivate them, what's a good way of cultivating them, what's a bad way of doing it, what species you have, where do you get them from? I want us to understand a bit more about the world of mushrooms that you're so familiar with, but many people aren't, and I wasn't until I started diving deep into it.
So, the very important thing when you grow something is what you're feeding that with. Mushrooms have three different strategies of life, which they can be symbiotic, which are the mycorrhiza, which are like the porcini mushrooms that grow in autumn because they're being fed by a tree and they work with the tree in symbiosis. They live together. That's why we cannot cultivate those. Those are just when they come, in the wild in autumn. Then we have the ones that are really being painful for the host, which are all the mushrooms that are going to be like a disease for a plant or for a human. Like you can name candida, for example, or any ungual mycosis, and that is a fungal too. But then we have the saprophytes, which are the ones that are the big companions of humans and of animals, which are the ones who turn the organic materia that is dead, so a tree, leaves, or even straw, into new nutrients for the soil. And those saprophytes are the ones that we can cultivate. So we are talking about reishi, maitake, shiitake, and those are the mushrooms that we can really cultivate and control somehow. Put them in a bag or put them in a log and make them produce. What is very important is what are they going to decompose? So their mycelium, the body of the mushroom, is going to feed on those logs, on that straw, or on those grains. And it's extremely important what is in that material. If that is polluted, if that was grown in a place where it has heavy metals, or that it has acid rain or radiations, well, then that is what you're going to get on the mushroom. That's why it's so important to have specific analysis from each part, each step of the way until you have the fruiting body of the mushroom. Then we go and we dry them. And then after dried, you need to extract them in an extract process where we have a patent of a green extraction process, which is greener to the world than just using alcohols in a very high quantity that also are polluting, a little bit on the end of the product, because you don't want a product that has alcohol, like for example in tinctures. Now, tinctures many times they have up to 25% alcohol. And that for someone that has a problem at a liver, for example, it will be a problem to take a mushroom. Say, for example, maitake is the mushroom for the liver, but you take a tincture that is 25% alcohol. Well, the outcome is not going to be that good. So that is every single detail that we take into account when we are producing. And to me, there is what it's the Hippocratic German, whereas the doctors, when they say, it's non nuocere in Latin, which is, I swear that I'm not going to harm when I treat someone. Well, to me, that is so important. So the first thing I need to know that I will not harm anyone with the treatment. And that is my first, my stone, which I step on. And it's first of all, we need to have things that are very very clear, very transparent, into no any heavy metals, no any contamination in the process, or because the own mushrooms are the ones who are taking that away. Think that, for example, the last product we did, which is Hifas Detox, it's done by with maitake and polyporus, and we tested it in battery plant, industrial plant, because while they're building the batteries, they're getting the heavy metals in their body constantly. It's a constant intake. So their doctor asked for a protocol if we could help them. So we tested this product with them, and we could see that mercury and aluminium in 2 months of intake of this product, in hair and in blood, we could see that mercury came down to 15%. I mean, 15% down in 2 months, and aluminium 19.7% in 2 months on hair, which is the one that is going to be stored on hair for the longest period. So that is what they do. They are chelants, so they're chelating heavy metals from us. But if those mushrooms were cultivated in a soil where the heavy metals were there, they're also chelating from that soil, and they will put them into their fruiting body. So if then you use that fruiting body, it's the opposite effect. You're depositing those heavy metals in your body. So that is why it's so important to understand the strategies of life that a mushroom has. How do they live? How do they eat? And how, basically, to be a mycologist, to understand what you need to be careful about when you are producing, a component out of fruiting body of a mushroom.
Wow, there's so many nuggets of wisdom in everything that you've just said. I couldn't agree more with the principle that we all need to keep in mind all the time when we're treating people, whether it is medically or holistically, which is first, do no harm. And that's exactly why my method is very gentle, because I have been through, as a patient, things that have harmed me. And I'm so happy that you're saying this. It's so important. The second point is mushrooms are basically little sponges. So if you put them in a good environment, they're absorbing the good. And if you put them in a bad environment, they're absorbing the bad. So for us, it's really important that they're clean before they come in inside of us so they can absorb all our toxins and do their job, but not deposit things that they have absorbed elsewhere. And people need to realize this. What's happening these days, everyone is much more health conscious, which is fantastic. I'm really happy about that. And I can see in my social circles, because of my job, people talk to me all the time. Wherever I go, we're having conversations about health. And everyone starts by telling me, so I'm taking this supplement, that supplement, this supplement, I'm on this and I'm on that. And I always answer, be careful, it's not a free lunch. Everything you put in your body has either a positive effect or a negative effect. It's never neutral. So, what supplement are you putting in your body? For what? What's the provenance? How was it manufactured? It's so important. People are careful with traditional medicines because of the terrible side effects that can happen, because they've been documented, and because prescribing is so regulated. But people can self prescribe supplements and they don't look at the origin and quality of them. And mushrooms these days are really fashionable, but I want people to understand that mushrooms, more than any other supplements, because of what you've just described, can do harm if they're not of good provenance. So thanks for that, Catalina.
It is exactly like this. That's why we use and we certify our mushrooms with the organic certification, which is very strict, and you need to prove with all the data. You need to prove that every step of the way is clean. And this is very important because it's difficult to comply. So it is important to look for seals, for signs that will protect you of what you're taking. And it is exactly like this. I always think, I'm not going to put into my body something that I'm not sure. To put a capsule into your body, you need to make sure, to be sure you trust this lab. You need to be trust, you know what you're doing. You know, they know what they're doing. To me, the base of Hifas da Terra, and I always repeat, is respect. For me, is the biggest word, because for me it's a matter of respect of a person that deposits their trust on us and really is going to take our products. It's the trust of prescribers, of nutritionists, of therapists, of doctors, oncologists that put their trust on us and our work, and they prescribe a product to their clients or patients. And it's a matter of respect to the world for sustainability. That today it's a big word. Everybody wants to, attach to them. For us, we as being biologists, we always have done things because we never thought there was another way. You need to respect the world, respect nature, in order to go on and have it clean for it to return to you and be able to go on in a clean environment and in a safe environment. We need always to remember that when there is no planet B, no, there's not, but there will be evolution. If we don't treat this world with care, we will be the ones who will disappear and the earth will evolve. So, and probably mushrooms will evolve with the earth because they've been there since the very beginning of the world. They are the first alive creatures that came from the sea and settled on the land, and from there everything evolved. So mushrooms will always be there. And that's why, because they evolve, because they have and they contain this magnificent molecules and principles, they are capable of being steady there, being that they cannot move, and they can adapt to the whatever is attacking them. It could be a virus, it could be a bacteria, it could be an animal, it's a flood, it's too much sun, it's snow. It doesn't matter. They go on because they adapt.
Amazing. I had no idea about the thing of mushrooms going from the sea to the land being the first creature. And of course, they're going to survive us. I want to talk about like, what they can do for us because I'm so fascinated by that. And you've mentioned the powerful chelating properties of mushrooms and to remove heavy metal toxicity when it comes to mercury, lead, aluminium. And aluminium is in so many beauty products for many years, I used deodorants with it inside. And in fact, I am on a on a detox, Hifas detox protocol at the moment. So if they're helping to detoxify our bodies from heavy metals, it's helping detoxify the liver, which then can help with so many things like hormones, because the liver performs hormone homeostasis. It can help with weight loss because the liver performs lipolysis, which is fat burning. It can help with new menopausal women, I guess, with hot flushes because the liver is responsible for heat regulation in the body. But when it comes to gut flora, how can mushrooms help us? Because these days, so many people suffer from bloating, from digestive upset, from gut dysbiosis. In which way can medicinal mushrooms help us, and how to take them when we want to improve our gut health? It's time for a little break. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying today's podcast. A reminder to all our listeners to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with your friends and anyone who might enjoy listening to it. We also have a discount code for all our podcast listeners, which I will be sharing at the end. Keep listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. When it comes to gut flora, how can mushrooms help us?
Well, gut health, yes, we have just like discovered microbiota like 10 years ago, and now it's like everybody is seeing the microbiota in the different parts of the body, because it's not only that we have it in the guts, but it's also in our skin. And we can see that different parts of the skin have different microbiota. And for example, if there is a skin cancer or a breast cancer, even the microbiota that is there on the breast, on the skin, is different. It differs from a healthy breast. So it's something that it's so intricated in our life and our cycles and our cells that we are starting to understand how all the microbiota works. I always think about it as a jungle. And I imagine a jungle three-dimensional with different species that they are wanting their territory, they are fighting, they're fighting ones against the others, and they're putting their settlements. And because of the difference of these fights, and if the one who's winning, we're going to see this, what that we call eubiosis or dysbiosis, because of these different numbers on the different species and how they're related ones to the others. And meaning that if we have a perfect microbiota, well, then they will, for example, fight Helicobacter pylori, and they won't allow it to go bigger and make an ulcer. Or we're talking about Candida albicans, and it's controlling the populations of our Candida, and we won't have candidosis. All of this lies on the gut and on these balances. Now, how does a mushroom affect the microbiota? Well, the beauty is that because we have evolved in this world with fungi all around us since the very early times of men, what we see is that they are the best prebiotic fiber that we can find. When we give and we provide mushrooms to the microbiota, what we can see is that it makes grow the good microbiota, the good species, and it contains the growth of the bad species. And with this specific fiber of the mushrooms, what we can see is that we are changing fastly the composition of the microbiota from unhealthy environment to a healthy perspective or a healthy way to go back to a healthy person, a healthy microbiota. We see this, for example, in cancer patients, where we are now describing with one of the best oncologists on or oncology markers, genetic markers, with the microbiota changes that we are seeing in the clinical trial that we're conducting in Spain, when they take the oncological product of Hifas da Terra, and how the microbiota changes really fast. And we are seeing this, and we are capable of making markers for this. We are working on that. It is completely proven. We have seen something that it's just impressive. One of the latest science that we have done. What we see is that we have a patient that has a cancer, a colorectal cancer. When we provide the mushrooms of the oncoline, what happens is that very rapidly we see that a new species, Candidatus atromintus, which is a bacteria, specific bacteria, appears. This bacteria only appears in our life when we're born, only once. What it does, it activates the immune system, the innate immune system, and it activates the whole working of the immune system in our body, so we can defend ourselves as babies. And then it rapidly disappears, and it starts the evolution of the microbiota. What we saw is that when we give the mycodigest to a cancer patient, this candidatus appears, and it starts a new development of the microbiota rapidly changing. Mean we've called this as the reset of the microbiota, meaning that that person is like just reborn at a microbiota level.
How amazing. I had no idea. Indeed, 70% of our immune system cells reside in the gut. It's called gut associated lymphoid tissue. Cancer is a result of a dysregulation of the immune system. And in fact, all non communicable diseases are linked to chronic inflammation, gut dysbiosis, and immune system dysregulation. So you're telling me that you have studies showing that by taking this, which is your onco range, it has been shown to reset the immune system and our gut to the same place we were when we were born.
Exactly.
Wow, that's powerful. Can we take it if we don't have cancer?
Yes, of course. We can take it as a prevention. Yes, as a daily prevention.
How wonderful. So it's an immune system reboot. I suppose it can help with anything that's non-communicable.
Yes, this would be like the oncoline, but all the mushrooms, how they work, it's on the cascade regulation of the cascade of the immune system. So we are going to see different effects. We were talking about the microbiota, we're talking about the immune system. What we can see is a balance on the response of the immune system. Now, the difference between health and illness is the time that our body takes to respond to an insult, meaning a bacteria, a virus, or a change in a cell, into carcinogenous cell. The time that our body takes to respond makes the difference that that virus, that bacteria goes on, or that fungus goes on and invades, and so we are going towards illness, or we are capable of responding in a very orchestrated way where our cytokines, our interleukins start activating the cascade of the immune system, and we get a very ordered response where our body is ready to destroy that virus, that bacteria, or that cancer cell. So that is exactly what the mushrooms do, which is train the immune system to be alert and to be the APCs, the cells that are going to start all the cascade of this immune system, this response, to be very alert and to be watching and ready to start all of this cascade of messaging and having a beautiful response that will keep us healthy and safe. That is the basics of how the mushrooms work on the immune system.
Amazing. I mean, we've known for a long time that all mushrooms have anti-cancer properties. For example, in China, where they consume mushrooms on a regular basis, some studies have shown that there is a lower incidence of breast cancer. And there's even a study that showed that on average, eating two mushrooms a day slashed the chances of getting cancer by, I don't remember exactly, something like 30 or 50%. But here, when it's targeted and done the way you do it, it's so powerful. It's extraordinary. I want to share my experience with lion's mane.
Yes. The only thing I would like to add is to be very clear here, okay? Because we're talking about oncology. To be very clear that we are talking about a supplement with the mushrooms. We are not talking about a drug. So it's very important to always bear in mind that what we're doing is we are accompanying the conventional treatment. So what we're doing is helping the conventional treatment to work better, to have best results, and not to have the secondary effect. But it's extremely important to note that the conventional treatments are very important. Okay.
Thanks for saying this. I assume people know that we think like that, but thanks for saying it. I actually recently had an amazing lady who came to me because she had been diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer, triple negative. And when she came to see me to support her, I was slightly overwhelmed. She doesn't know this. She's probably listening now. I was slightly overwhelmed because, I get attached to people that I coach one on one and I care for them to get better. And I was thinking, oh my God, if I take her on, she has to come out of this successfully. So I put her on a very strict cancer protocol, which is cancer, what I call support and recovery, to accompany her medical treatment. So she was going through a group of chemotherapy sessions. She had a very long protocol. They gave her the maximum given the form of cancer that she had. And I put her on mushrooms as well, of course, and on other things that I had done research on, some supplements that have been shown to help breast cancer. I mean, I had done quite a lot of research for her. After 4 or 5 sessions of chemo, the results were extraordinary already. First, she didn't have that many side effects. But I banned her from listening to the side effects because the nurses wanted to warn her. And I said to her, absolutely not. I don't want you to know what might happen because otherwise your brain is going to manufacture it. It's called neuroplasticity. So we're just going to focus on recovery. I don't want you to think about, oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. Otherwise, you will activate it with your brain in your body. That was the first thing. So she didn't get many side effects. But more importantly, the tumor started reducing quite early on in the treatment. The doctors were amazed, she was amazed, and she got excited. She said to me, do you think I should reduce the number of sessions that I have? And I said to her, absolutely not. First, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nutritional therapist. I'm not qualified to give you advice when it comes to medical treatment. So let's just keep me in my box. And secondly, we don't want to do a Steve Jobs here. We don't want to be overzealous and take any risk. So, the best way to treat what you have is to give you all the support needed, the nutritional therapy with me, the mental wellness and visualization with me, some supplements, maybe other therapies like lymphatic drainage and acupuncture. But we're not here to be overzealous. So, I completely agree with you, Catalina. This is not going to replace a traditional treatment. This is to support it.
Exactly. And it's very important to have it and leave it very extremely clear.
Yeah. So I wanted to share my experience with lion's mane. In September last year, I had a little health drama happen to me overnight because this thing happens overnight and is not really preventable. I had an ear infection that I hadn't noticed. We swam in a pool in the south of France. My son William had an ear infection. I was all over him, treating it and all of that. I was in mummy mode, dealing with a fever, taking him to the doctor. And I had a little bit of ear pain, and I have quite a high pain tolerance threshold. So I just ignored my pain. I was like, oh, it's nothing. It's in my head. I think I have ear pain because my son has ear pain, but I'm absolutely fine, which is something mothers do. So anyway, we went on, came back from France, had to take the train, didn't fly because of his ear. And then I'm in sending the kids back to school mode. And I noticed that I'm hearing sounds in a very exaggerated manner. And I asked my boys, I said, is this sound really unbearable? And they said to me, no, it's not. And again, I was like, okay, fine, I'll go and see the doctor once they're back at school. I didn't have time to do this because I had a middle ear infection unbeknown to me, and the bacteria traveled to my brain. I ended up with bacterial meningitis. The day I took my son back to school, we were being driven actually by somebody, and by the time we arrived at his school, I couldn't even leave the car. I was completely floppy. To cut a long story short, I went to hospital, and it took them about 24 hours to realize that I had bacterial meningitis, which can kill you in 24 or 48 hours. At the beginning of sepsis and all of that. They gave me the right antibiotics. This is where traditional medicine can really save you. I came back to life, and after 10 days of treatment, I felt like this thing was behind me. Done. Oh my God, I'm back. I'm on my feet. Everything's fine. Except I had some side effects. I noticed that I had side effects, and one of them being severe memory loss. And to me, my brain is everything. Remove my brain, and I don't want to live if I haven't got my brain. And it was really painful. And when I say severe memory loss, leave my home, forget the key on the door, make a cup of tea, forget I've made it, make a second one. I agree with you to have a meeting. By the time I go in my calendar to put it in, and someone texts me, I forget to put it in. So my life had become an absolute disaster. I went on the meningitis website. I started reading all the side effects people get afterwards. Again, I decide not to read, and I go and see the doctor, and they say, don't worry, this can take 6 months, 1 year. And I was thinking, listen, I'm running a company. I can't not have a brain for that long. And I'm trying my best to hide it from people I'm working with and people I'm interacting with. But my friends are noticing that I've lost my memory. It really felt like dementia. It was crazy. So a colleague of mine says to me, someone that I went, who worked with me, and we went to the same school, because her brain was still working. She goes, Delta, just take lion's mane. I was like, of course. How didn't I think of that? Because lion's mane supports the brain. So I went on your website. I got Mycolio, the product, and I started taking 2 capsules every day on empty stomach. In 30 days, I had my full brain function back. It was nothing short of extraordinary. So I've got to say thank you, Catalina. You gave me my brain back.
Well, thank you for sharing the story. It's beautiful, and I'm glad that we could have give you a hand on that. And yes, lion's mane, it's absolutely brilliant because it has two sides to it, to the brain and to the guts, because this is a cell that when we are forming on the first moment a human is being produced in the zygote, these are going to be type of cells that are going to derive from the first original cell. So they respond to the same stimuli. And yes, we have done many research on herisium, on lion's mane, and what we had seen is that it works incredibly on short term memory, which the loss of that, it's one of the first symptoms also for then other types of we're going to see Alzheimer's, or we're going to see other types of neuronal degeneration, and also spatial visualization, so that you can visualize yourself in a space, in a 3D dimension, which is very important for balance and for locating yourself, and also for the speed of thoughts. So the neuroplasticity, where you can really have a quick thought and change from one thing to another. And this is extremely important because it's something that we lose with time. So if we want to keep our brains active, it's something that we need to start doing from 35 on, more or less, because we cannot think that we're going to stop Alzheimer's where it's knocking on the door. But we have to start working on the neuroplasticity way before that. in order to keep all the elasticity and all the connections working perfectly so that we don't derive into Alzheimer's, Parkinson, or any type of neuronal problem or cognitive problem with time. And yes, lion's mane is one of the favorites, I would say, worldwide of our products. Mycoleo is incredible. And now we have on the side of the microbiota, on the side of the gut lining protection, we have developed the Hifas microbiota, which is based on lion's mane. It also has reishi, and it has the probiotic effect of what we were saying before of the all the microbiota. What we're doing is putting the whole protocol together in a capsule. So it's IFAS microbiota has everything that we would put together in a protocol, saying reishi extract per plus lion's mane extract plus the fruiting body of the mushrooms to do this prebiotic effect. And on the side of the neuronal protection, yes, mycoleo is the best. It's just impressive the results that we see constantly with it.
Amazing. And so, if I want to work on youth, beauty, weight loss, what do you suggest? What does the doctor prescribe for every single goal?
Well, you see, we need different mushrooms. So for example, anti-aging effect, for the scavengers action of the free radicals, reishi mushroom is the best antioxidant in nature, in absolutely. But as we want to work with different actions of the mushrooms and we want to put them together, we have developed this year this new range of products which are called IFAS functionals because we want to direct them more to the function and say make it easier for the user, make it user friendly,
Yeah.
because mycotherapy could be a little bit overwhelming when you want to approach it, and it's kind of difficult. So we have developed these new three products, which are, as we had mentioned, Hifas Detox for a detoxifying process, which I think that we all need once a year. We really need to detoxify. And I would suggest to always start by a detox program for 2 months, put it from 2 to 3 months, the Hifas Detox, 2 capsules a day, with a big glass of water, drinking 2 liters of water daily, and doing exercise, mindfulness, having a very nice diet, eat the rainbow and all of the things which you are an expertise. Those would be my best advice to start with Hifas Detox, 2 months. 2 to 3 months a year. Then we could go with Hifas microbiota because that will help us to improve, as we were saying, all the microbiota and the guts. And in there, in the microbiota, we also have reishi, as we were saying, lion's mane extract, reishi extract, and that is going to help us to help our all the gut system or the digestive system to do an anti-aging program for it, which is very important. If we anti-age the lining of the gut, what we will be seeing is that we have less problems with the digestive system that come with age because it's not aging as fast, so that we won't have that problems of bloatness and feeling, all the problems that with age are coming to the digestive system, feeling bloated after meals or not having good digestions, feeling heavy, and all of those kind of things that also reveal on skin. So many times when we see blushing colorings on the skin, it's because there's a problem going on the guts, that it's related to the digestive system, to the digestions. So that would be again for 2 to 3 months, an Hifas microbiota, 2 capsules a day. And then the one that we have just launched, which is the Hifas Equilibrium. This is one product that I love. I have really done it for myself, formulated for me, because I say it for the multitasking women, but also for the multitasking men. We are all right now dealing with the multitasking, stress, not sleeping well, hormonal disorders. And all of this is what Hifas Equilibrium is going to deal with. It's going to help us sleep better. It's going to help us to have a mood that is more balanced and we're not picking up and down with a hormone. Also, that we're going to see that we're going to calm down. It's going to restore the equilibrium that we need to have, the balance, the natural balance, that we cannot be in fight flight mode the whole day. We need to understand that there's no lion coming and that it's okay. We just need to deal with, work and emotions and the day as it comes. But we don't have to run for our lives, which is the problem, the main problem, that we are just rushing on adrenaline the whole day because of these pikes that we are with the stress the whole time, feeding on stress. And this is exactly what Hifas Equilibrium is going to do. So when you are taking care of the water you drink and you're well hydrated, when you take care of the food and the nutrition plan, and then you supplement yourself with good supplements that are going to be well thought and formulated for the daily basis of the needs, what you're going to see, it's a better skin, a better hair, nails, that you feel, you're not retaining liquids. For example, this is something that Hifas Detox is going to do. It's even going to work on cellulitis, which is a deposit of bad drainage and toxins. So even at that level, we're going to see a difference. We're going to feel a complete new person. That I always say that mushrooms take you to the best you. So it's the best version of yourself, which is not, it's not something unknown. It's not an energy that it's unknown for yourself, but it's the best moment that it was you. So when you were 18, when you were 20, when you were really feeling young and strong and, and with the best moment of yourself, that is exactly what mushrooms do. Bring out the best version of yourself.
Amazing. And it's true that we're all living on adrenaline and cortisol gets spiked throughout the day. This leads to insulin resistance. And this is one of the reasons why people start accumulating fat around the waist as they age. And also as we age, we become less insulin sensitive. And parallel to that, our lives make us more stressed. So it's like a compounding effect. So for anyone feeling that, I guess equilibrium is a good thing. But can we take them together? Could I take, let's say, because I'm doing the detox and I want to take equilibrium now, can I take them together?
Yes, they work in synergy. So you can take several of them and you will see how it boosts the results.
Amazing. Catalina, this was fascinating. I've really enjoyed our conversation. To everyone who wants to find these products, the website is Hifas da Terra, 1f2rs.com, and I will be linking Catalina's details, their Instagram, their website, and everything. Catalina, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure talking with you today.
And thank you very much for having me here today. It's beautiful, all the work you're doing with the education. It's so important that we all work together in order to put all of this information up there and have, facilitate. We're facilitators of knowledge and science.
Very wise words. Thank you so much, and thanks to all our listeners for joining us today. Thank you so much to all of you for listening to this podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. It's always such a pleasure to talk about health because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Looking after our health is a daily thing, just like brushing our teeth. We've got to focus on it, we've got to do it right so we can live better and happier lives. For those of you who are not members of the platform yet, we have a discount code for all our podcast listeners. You can get 15% off the memberships. Just enter the code podcast15 at checkout. Thank you, and make sure to read all the articles and all the free content we have on eatbrandsleep.com to keep you motivated and informed and educated about living an anti-inflammatory lifestyle.